right, you guys, this is episode 13 of War Stories. I'm gonna get straight into it, but before I do, I need to go over some household business. I'm gonna I'm gonna go over the HHPs with some of you cats, man, because some of you in straight violation. On the real, man. Look, comments. I don't even know how to start this video, man, and I'm not gonna spend too much time on this, but I'm just gonna say this. I always tell you guys at the beginning of my videos, I appreciate the comments, I appreciate the feedback, I appreciate the constructive criticism. And I know it's redundant, but I always extend my appreciation to you guys because I do. And I try to read as many comments as I can on the channel, on Patreon, and in my IG. And I respond to a lot of you because, you know, I want to interact with you guys. Obviously, I can't get at everybody, but I try. And here's the thing, man. Most of you get these videos. Most of you understand. Most of you are able to follow me. A lot of you have done time, so you're able to understand what I'm talking about. But every now and then, every now and again, I'll get a comment or two or three or four from individuals from another fucking planet that are on some other shit. Sometimes, you know, I can't even understand what they're saying. Other times, it's almost like they're watching another channel and they're commenting on something else. Not nothing that I'm talking about. But look, man. So, the other day I cut a video about an individual named Joey Fernandez from Tulare County. And eventually I get my justice. I'd end up getting an opportunity to stab this dude because he was very disrespectful. He was a weird individual, right? And I already told you guys the story, so it is what it is, man. Most of you got it. Most of you understood. 98% of you. However, a small fraction didn't understand and took it completely out of context. I'm gonna explain. So, I told you two cats when I responded to you, and I usually don't do this. I don't call viewers out that make comments, even the ones that make negative comments. I'm not going to give them no attention. But this shit right here was so over the top that I'm going to respond and I'm going to put you on blast because I told you I would. So this is for you, Big Dog and Conscious Mountain Gangster. You two cats, the only two cats on this planet that took that shit out of context. But look, so, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I'm just going to go over a few things to give you guys an idea and to give them an idea so they can get it through their craniums what the fuck I was talking about and get it right. So, for those of you that done time, you guys know how it is. When you're in the shoe environment or when you're in the ad seg or the oils and you guys are in a restricted environment and anywhere you go, anywhere and everywhere you go, you get handcuffed. They put you in belly chains or shackles, and that's how you move. When you go to the shower, the showers, there's what is there? There's 6 showers in these buildings. 1 in each section, A, B, and C. A shower on the top, shower on the bottom. 2 people in a cell. You guys following me? You following me? So there's 2 people in a cell. There's 1 shower head, right? So obviously, when both you and your cellie go into the shower, you both ain't gonna get naked and get in the shower. That's not how we do it. There is things called like tear etiquette, shower etiquette, conduct. There's certain ways that you do things and you learn these things from doing time. So let me give you the proper way to help you guys understand. You'll understand in a minute. So when there's 2 of you and there's 1 shower head, you know, you're gonna go in this shower and you're going to let your cellie take a shower and you're going to give him his privacy. You're going to let him do his thing. Usually, I'll post up when my cellie's showering. I'll lean on the bars and I'll post up and I might holler at somebody on the tier. But I'm going to give him his privacy and let him do his thing. If I want to shave, I might shave. There's usually a mirror on the wall. If not, you're going to have to improvise. You're going to have to bring your Dorito bag, put some soap on it, slap it on the wall, and use that as a mirror. But anyway, so if you're going to shave, normally, probably like 99% of us will stand there and we'll shave. But we'll take off our t-shirt and we'll stand there in the mirror and we'll shave. Right? for anybody to do anything different, like to stand there and to take off your boxers and leave your t-shirt on, that's some weirdo shit. I'm pretty sure most of you, if not all of you, agree with me, especially those of you that have done time. You're probably like, yeah, man, that's the way that we do it, right? These two cats, and like I said, I'm not gonna disrespect you cats, even though you call me a sexual predator and you got it all fucked up. These two cats somehow, some way, in their minds, in their lack of mental ability. So they were assuming that I got mad and stabbed Joey because he didn't take his t-shirt off too. Like they said, why are you gonna stab the homie, Box? Why are you gonna stab him because he didn't take off his t-shirt? Come on, man. How in the fuck did you misunderstand some shit like that? I was saying what you guys were saying. I wasn't suggesting that he take his t-shirt off. I was saying that it was funny for him to stand there with the t-shirt and no boxers on. Can you picture that? Are you getting a visual? Like I'm not telling you to, because I mean it's a fucked up thing to see, man. But how you misconstrue something like that, man? Maybe you two cats need to take a deeper look at your sexual preferences. Why would you assume something like that? You guys should feel real foolish right now, man. Straight up. I couldn't believe these cats, how they could misconstrue something like that. Like, damn, Box, man, you know, I fucks with you and your content, man, but, you know, that's some sexual predator type of shit. You know, you wanting to, you know, the homie took his boxers off, but you know, you got mad because he didn't take off his t-shirt too. Woo, man. I tell you, boy, the mind is a terrible thing to waste, man. Anyway, man, I gave you guys your little 2 minutes. You know what I mean? I really hope you feel like a damn fool. Give yourself a flying helicopter kick or a motherfucking a donkey kick straight between your ass cheeks, man, because I don't even know what to say about that, man. You know, obviously you two have never been to prison, so I give you that. But still, man, you know, that's a big jump to make those assumptions based on everything. Maybe you need to rewatch the video. Maybe that's what it is, man. Maybe you need to pay attention. I don't know what you were doing when you were watching the video, man. You might have been watching some man porn or something. I don't know, man. But maybe you should rewatch the video. Anyway, man, so check it out. Let's get into this next story, man. So I'm going to take you guys back to 1995, 1996. And before I get into this story, I'm going to do like I always do. I'm going to kind of lay the groundwork out so that you guys can kind of understand what was going on at this time. So this right here, this situation it's kind of an awkward situation involving my neighborhood and something that I didn't understand when I was younger. When I first started fucking around in my neighborhood when I was 12, 13 years old, 14, I ran across individuals that were running around out there that were associated or had ties to the Mexican mafia. Glenn Escalette, Joey Nava, Mike Eisen, Danny Bruno. There's a bunch of them, man. There's a bunch of them. These guys claim my neighborhood. They claim SFM. They're from the Mission. However, when they go to prison, they function on the other side. They function as Southsiders, obviously, or they function as MA members, Emeros, not Southsiders. But they function, you know, with the Southsiders. And the funny thing about it, man, is out there in my neighborhood, I used to trip out on a lot of the older homies that I used to really look up to when I was a kid, man. Big Roach, Louis Roach, cats like that. His brother, Snoopy from Hampshire. You know, a lot of these older cats, they would run around with some of these dudes. They would be out there going to clubs, going to nightclubs with them, running around in the hood with them, just straight fucking with them on that type of level. Wasn't no business level, wasn't nothing like that. And I could never understand it, man. You know, when I was coming up, I used to ask questions like, because I used to hear like San Francisco had one of the biggest cars in prison. And I used to hear stories about Quentin and how Frisco had its own car, and just a little bit about how they functioned and operated in those days, and the weight pile, and how they had color-coded weights, and the homies from the city had their weight. I just used to hear a lot of stories, man. And, you know, eventually I started hearing names of these individuals and how they functioned in prison. Glenn Escalette is an individual from the Mission that has a lot of history out there. He's a big ass dude. He's a big dude. He's a monster. He's probably like around 6'2", 6'3", and he's probably tipping the scales at a good 260, something like that, around 260. He's not yoked up big. He's just a big boned fucking Mexican. And he, you know, he's got that look about him, man. He's got a big whip, and like I said, he's a big dude. And a lot of homeboys from my neighborhood, they look up to him, and like I said, they fuck with him. They used to kick it with him, man. I used to see him, and I could never understand that. I never understood that, man. And I used to ask questions like, you know, if this guy runs with the M, why are the homies kicking it with them like that? And they're like, we don't fucking push politics in the hood, man. What happens in prison stays in prison. It's like, we're not tripping off all that shit. Homeboys from the Mission first before anything and everything else, man. So, I mean, I don't know what that means, but it's kind of, you know, it got kind of weird later on when I got older and I became familiar with prison politics and what it was, man. So in 1988, that's the first time I went to prison. Obviously, I go to prison and I learn about prison politics, all the functions, how everything operated, the MA, the NF, the histories and all that. So it didn't make a lot of sense to me. I questioned it like, well, why are the homies still, if these politics, you know, if this has been happening since the 70s and this is what it is, why do the homies feel like it's okay to kick it with these individuals? And, you know, in my mind, when I got out in 92, I started pushing the line against a lot of these cats. I seen Joey Nava out there, and I pushed the line against him. I never had a chance to run into Danny Bruno, but I ran into Mike Eisen, and I pushed the line against him. And it wasn't popular amongst some of my homies. You know, the line that I started pushing against these dudes, they felt like, hey, these are homeboys, man. They're homies. They're from the hood, and they've been around for a while. But these cats that felt like that too, they might have done time, but they probably done time in the fucking honor farm at Quentin, man. They hadn't really done like shoe time. They weren't doing time like I was, and they weren't involved in the prison politics like I was. So it was to be expected, man. But like I said, some homies, you know, they didn't think it was cool to push a line against these dudes, because, you know, they get out and they kick it out there like they had the homies' backs whenever they go to a nightclub or something, and if the homies got off, they get off too, man. But still, there's a very fine line there, man. It's just something I could never understand, you know. And I never even asked a lot of the older homeboys. I was set up with Big Roach in Pelican Bay in 1994. And even though we were cellies, I never asked him about it. It was just something I just let go, you know, with some street shit. But, you know, I would have an opportunity to run into some of these individuals over time. And like I said, man, I started pushing the line against these cats. I felt like they were enemies, man. They were enemies. And if they're in prison and they're going after my people in prison and they're shedding Norteño blood in prison, how can you justify kicking it with them on the street, man? It just, those lines, you're blurring the lines, man. So anyway, this is gonna be a short one, but I mean it's a good one because a lot of homies were scared of Glenn Escalette. They were scared of him. He's got a lot of history in prison, and he's got a brother that's his brother's a savage, or he was a savage. He had a couple kills in prison. They called him Sleepy Escalette, and he was a Emero. Now, Glenn Escalette was as well. So Sleepy was an Emero, and so was Glenn. Anyway, so in 1996, right around the time when my boy Tupac got killed, man, I was in the county jail, and I just caught a new case, and I was on the 7th floor. I was on the 7th floor, man, and matter of fact, I was on a visit. I'm gonna start this out with one of the first incidents that's part of this story. So, anyway, at that time, I just got through fighting the case. I took my time. I was sentenced already, and I was basically waiting for a ticket to get shipped off to Quentin. So I'm there. I probably stayed there for about a good month before I got put on a bus and got shipped out. But during that time, while I was on the 7th floor, I used to get visits from my daughter's mom. And the thing about the 7th floor in 850 Bryant, I'm sure there's a lot of you from the city, or a lot of you that might have been through the San Francisco County Jail, that are aware of this. But back in the early 90s, I don't know how it is now, but back in like the early 90s, late 80s, the county jail really, their classification system over there, either they were way behind or they just didn't give a fuck, because they would very rarely put Southsiders and Norteños together in the same tanks together, although it did happen, like it happened with that Southsider that they put in my tank, the one that I split his dome. Although sometimes it would happen, most of the time they would put them on the 7th floor where we would be at, but down the hall a little ways, which really didn't make a difference. I mean, we couldn't kill each other in the tank, but we'd get an opportunity. So, they put them in another tank and they keep them down there. But the thing is like during visiting or during gym time, it was on and popping, man. It was fucking on and popping. Whoever had a visit, they'd end up popping the gate and letting them out. It didn't matter if they were Northerners, blacks, Asians, others, Usos, whites, what their affiliation was. If you had a visit and it was at 2 o'clock like everybody else's, they were going to key you out and let you out with everybody. That's how they used to do it. I'm sure there's a lot of you that know and will stand on that. So, I had gotten into it a lot, man, with Southsiders up there on the 7th floor that went out on a visit at the same time as I did. It was, when you got a visit in that jail, you knew, man, there's a possibility I could go out there and run into a Southsider. So on this particular day that this incident happened, so my daughter's mom comes up. I get a visit. I go out to the visiting room, and we're visiting. And when I get out to the visiting room, obviously, like I always do, I start to look around in the visiting room. I was in B7, which is the last tank to get pulled out. So a lot of the people that had visits, a lot of the inmates that had visits, they already got pulled out. They already went in the visiting room and they were already seated. So I was like the last one to come out. So, I didn't get to see who was in the hall. They had already went in the visiting room. But when I got in there, I started looking around, seeing who was out there. And sure enough, man, I get out there on this particular visit, and I tell my daughter's mom, I'm like, hey, check it out. I'm not gonna be able to call you tonight, and I'm probably not gonna be able to get a visit next week. And she's like, why? And I'm like, check it out. Look over there. You see that cat over there with the female that's got the purple shirt on? And she turns around and she looks, and she's like, yeah. And I'm like, that's a Sureño. It's a Southside. Shout out to my Southside boys, man. You guys already know. So anyway, she's like, for real? How do you know? And I'm like, trust me, I know. You know, I know where they're all housed at, and I know who's who. That's it's my responsibility to know who's on this deck with me on the 7th floor. So she's like, man, let somebody else do it. And I'm like, nah, it don't work like that, man. You know what I mean? I'm probably gonna get into it. I'm just telling you right now, you know. So I'll let you know later on tonight. If I don't call, that's why. And obviously, I'll let you know before next week not to come up to visit, because I'm not gonna be able to have visits for at least a week. So she's like, all right, anyway, so we have our visit. We enjoy our little 30 minutes and shit, you know what I mean? And like we did every other week out there. So there was actually 2 other norteños that were out visiting as well, and I knew both of them. One was a cat, they used to call him Patufo or something like that. Patufo from 22nd and Bryant. Some of you know who I'm talking about. Leave it in the comments. He's a little rider, man. He's a YA baby, and he was a little rider, straight up. He was there, and then there was another homeboy. I don't remember his name. I never had met him before. I just met him on the 7th floor in the gym. He had long hair and a ponytail, but he was a norteño. So once our visit concluded, I got up, you know what I mean? I said my goodbyes and shit. So I kind of fall back a little bit, and I'm waiting because this cat's still, like, he's still talking to his bitch on the phone. So I post up and I walk out. I end up walking out because the CO comes up and he's starting to clear the visiting room. This cat's still on the phone. Like, he's standing up, but he's still got the phone to his ear and he's still talking to his bitch, right? So by this time, I'm out in the hallway. The other two, Patufo and I think that's how you say his name, Patufo and Matufo. Him and the other homie are right there, and I tell him, I'm like, hey, check it out. That cat right there, he's a Southsider, man. And neither one of them knew. And they're like, nah, and I'm like, yeah, man, yeah, straight up. Cause you know, again, whenever you're in these type of environments and you've done time like I've done before, it's practice. It's something that you learn. It's common practice that you identify where everybody's at in your area. If you've done time, especially if they're considered ops, you know, we know where all our people are at. Any norteño that's housed on that floor, in that block, or on that tier, and we know where any enemies or any ABs or any potential threats. That's part of the routine. So anyway, when I tell them that, you know, they're like, okay, so you want to get them right here? And I'm like, nah, check it out. Let's get them on A block. When we cut that corner, there's like a corner that you cut, you go down A block, and then it's a long hallway. And I've been housed right there before. It's cool as fuck, man. But anyway, so I tell them, let's just get them in A block. It's like, it's not a blind spot, but there's no COs right there, and at least we'll have a little bit of time before they come to break that shit up, before they find out. Anyway, so one thing I gotta say about some of these Southsiders out there, man, these upstaters, man, I give them their props, because a lot of these motherfuckers were game, man. You know, I was a good sized dude at that time. You know, I just came out of a prison that had weights a couple years before that, but still, I was hitting weights on the streets. And Patufo, he's a little small dude, but he was a little pit bull. And then the other homie, he wasn't no big dude, but he wasn't no small dude either. He was an average sized dude. The Southsider was a medium sized dude, but it didn't matter. When I jammed him up, I'm like, hey, homie. And he turned around, he's like, what's up? And I'm like, hey, where you from, bro? And I already knew it was just, that's the routine. And he's like, su 13, right? Straight up, just like that, man. It's almost like he just slapped me in my face, man. So we're walking down A block now, and Patufo and the other cat are behind this dude, and I'm on the side of him, and we're just all four of us are walking, and that's when I first asked him where he was from, and he told me he was like Southside, you know what I mean, Southside Tres or something like that. And when he said it, man, it was just like, it was almost like, man, I didn't expect him to say that. He kind of fucked me up for a minute, you know what I mean. You would expect cats that are, you know, that get pushed up on or pressed like that. There's 3 cats that you'd be like, I don't bang, man. You know, a lot of dudes do that. I don't bang. I don't fuck around. I'm not affiliated. But this cat, you know, as small as he was, he's still Southside Tres, you know what I mean? So, but when he said that, I'm like, what'd you say? And when he repeated it, man, I just I cracked him, man, and that just set it off. As soon as I took off on him, Tufo was on him like a pit bull and the homie. So now all 3 of us were on this dude, and we're working him. Oh, my shoe. So we're stomping this dude out, man. We're whooping this dude's ass. Everybody that's housed in A tank or A block, there's several tanks. They all came running up to the gate. Now they're watching, and we're working this dude, but he's fighting back. He's fighting back. He wasn't no gunslinger, man. I'm not gonna lie. He wasn't. He was swinging back, but he was losing miserably. He was getting mopped up bad, and it happened quick. You know what I'm saying? Right there on the 7th floor where it happened, towards the corner. You go around the corner, and about 50 feet is the office where the COs are always posted up. So you could hear it, man. You can hear a bunch of footsteps, and you can hear just the screeching on the fucking on the floor. So they were right on top of that shit, man. So I'm on this dude, I'm on his ass, and the next thing I know, man, I look up and I see a line of fucking pepper spray just come flying, and it fucking, I'm not even lying to you guys, man. The shit went right up my fucking nostril. They got these canisters. They're like fire extinguishers. That's how big they are, and they're like super soakers. They shoot out big gusts of this shit. They're not like little, psst, you know what I mean? Like you get on the street, you have a little pepper spray. These motherfuckers are super soakers. They shoot out a fat ass stream. Well, this shit went right up my nose, man. I'm talking about up my nose to the back of my fucking throat. I mean, instantly it just choked the dog shit out of me. And I can handle pepper spray. I've been hit with it before. I even been hit with that other shit that depletes the oxygen and takes your fucking air, man, so you can't breathe. That's some dangerous shit. But anyway, so it goes up my nose and I'm done. Like, I'm trying to fucking breathe now. But, you know, everybody else is done too. They're getting sprayed, and a bunch of COs swarmed in and broke it all up. Now we're all laid out on the floor, and I'm still trying to catch my breath, man. But that was over. It was quick. You know what I mean? We get rolled up. I had just got a bottom bunk in the tank I was in. Bottom bunk gone. I got to go back now. 5 days in the hole. Go back to a top bunk. Go through my seniority again before I get another bottom bunk. That's what always used to happen. Anyway, so I end up going to the oil later on that night. They housed me on the 7th floor in AdSeg. Now, when I got back there to the area that's AdSeg, there was a couple homeboys back there. I remember Peanut from the city was back there, and I think some other cat named Angel from the city. When I get back there, after I get situated, I'm chopping it up with the homie, and homeboy tells me who's on the tier and who's up there. right? He basically gives me a Passover, a rundown of like who's there and shit. So he tells me Glenn Escalette's on the tier, which I didn't expect. I didn't even know he was in the jail on the 7th floor. I had no idea. He must have just came in. So I'm like, is that right? Okay, you know, like when he said Glenn Escalate, man, it's like the hair on the back of my neck stood straight up because I've always had an issue with that cat. I've always, like I said, man, I started pushing issues against those dudes, and he was like one of the main ones out there. Big dude, put his hands on a lot of homeboys, and had a reputation for being, you know, for being a hitter, man. And he was. He's not the type of dude you want to play with, man. If you're gonna come at a dude like that, you gotta come right. You can't send like some little toy soldiers to hit an individual like that. So homeboy tells me, and I'm like, okay, so I don't say nothing to the dude. Obviously, I'm not gonna say nothing to him. But what ends up happening is, so the shower was at the end of the tier. In order for me to get to the shower, I had to walk past his cell. Now up there's no gates on the bars. You can literally put your hands through the bars, and like you probably get them out to where you're up to your elbows. Um, the bars are open, so you know you look down the tier, you can see dude's arms sticking out and shit. Anyway, I seen the cell he was in. I seen his arms sticking out, and I get cuffed up. Well, I get cuffed up, and I'm walking down the tier, and I see, right, and I can see his gate is facing, where the crack of his gate is facing towards my where I'm housed at. So as I get closer, I can see I can see his fucking eyeball looking at me to see, you know, identify who's coming down the tier. So we kind of lock eyes, or I lock eyes with one eyeball. Anyway, he pulls his arms in, and Glenn's not the type of dude that'll talk shit on the tier. He's somebody that's been around. He's done a lot of time. He's probably spent more of his life in prison, like me. So, you know, I wouldn't expect nothing less from the dude. So I get put in the shower. When I walk by, we kind of like just lock eyes. He sees me. I look at him. He looks at me. He don't say nothing. He just kind of posted up and backed up off the gate a little bit. You know, I'm pretty sure he looked at me the same way, as like I'm not somebody that's gonna talk shit, but he didn't know like if I was gonna spit on him. He didn't know nothing about me. So he backed up off his gate a little bit as I walked by, and just like we just locked eyes. Anyway, so I shower, and then, you know, during the time I'm showering, we don't say nothing. However, he's talking to one of his neighbors, it's an Africano, and so he starts dropping some subliminals. He tells his neighbor, he's like, hey man, so yeah, check it out, man. He was like, you know, so there's some motherfuckers out my hood, man, that just can't stand me, you know what I'm saying? They just can't stand the sight of me. They just can't stand the fact that, you know, people fuck with dudes like me, man. And you know, I've heard people talk a lot of shit about me, and you know, I mean, if people are gonna talk shit, it's like, you know, I mean, shit, that's all good, man. But you know, I want to come to the party. He said something like that, right? I don't say nothing, but I know he's shooting that shit at me, man. So the CO comes back up. My shower time is done. Cuffs me up. I walk by. I kind of, just out of my peripheral, I kind of look towards his cell. I don't say nothing to him. Don't look at him. I just walk by. So anyway, he doesn't say nothing for the rest of the day. He ain't dropping. He dropped those little lugs, and that's it. Basically, let me know, you know, he was there and he knew what time it was. That's how I took it. We didn't have gym until like, they didn't run gym till like 3 days later. But I'm already like, okay. So anyway, I know when we go to gym, it's gonna be on. There's no doubt in my mind about it. If we end up in the gym together, it's gonna be on site. I mean, I'm not gonna rush him in front of the COs, but we're gonna probably go take a blind spot. We're probably gonna step off into the corner. There's a corner right there, and we're probably gonna handle our business right there. I'm already thinking ahead. Like I need to make a parazo. I need an equalizer. I mean, I'm not really worried about it. I got hands, but I know he got hands, and so I know we're gonna thump, man. You know, he's not some dude that I'm not gonna run over the dude, but he ain't gonna run over me either. I mean, if he gets me, he got his work cut out. At least I'm gonna make him work for that. He gonna work for that W. So I'm not really tripping on it, but I do want to make a parazo. If I can hit him, I want to hit him. I don't get a chance to make a parazo. I don't got no materials at that time. There was a J cat that was on my left. Some cat I didn't even talk to when I was there, and there was some other Baisa like cat on the other side of me, and then there was like I couldn't get down the tier. So, but this is the thing. So like the second day, he got an attorney visit, and when they cuffed him up, brought him out, I'm on my gate and I see him coming. He comes up, he walks up to my cell, in front of the cell, and the gate to go out to where the attorney visiting rooms and all that is, it's like 2 doors down from where I'm at. So the CO's opening up the gate. He's within earshot, but he's not paying attention. Besides that, this dude leaned up on my gate. He leans up on my gate and he said, check this out. You know what time it is, man? We go to gym. I don't remember what he said. Like, we go to gym Thursday. He was like, you already know what time it is, man. I'm just giving you a heads up. And I'm like, it's all good, man. You ain't got to tell me. I already know. So he walks off, man, and he goes and does it. So now I'm like, man, this motherfucker. I'm I'm game to fight this dude. He's a big ass dude though, man. You know what I mean? I'm not scared, and I'm not scared of taking a W. I've taken them before, man. You know, but I ain't trying to take no W in my county jail by in Emero. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. If anything, this is an opportunity that I have where I want to stab this dude if I can. So he comes back from his attorney visit, and when he comes in, he walks by the cell and he just fucking mean mugs me, right? So I'm like, all right, it's all good, man. I'm game too. You know what I mean? I'm game too, man. So at least I know what time it is. But I'm gonna be honest with you guys. If Glenn wouldn't have said nothing to me, if he wouldn't have said nothing, it would have still been on. I would have had to rush him no matter what anyway. So it didn't matter. If he went to gym and he just tried to just like do his thing and act like, I wasn't even there, I would have had to call him out, man, straight up. There's no way that I could have went to gym and just, I probably, to be honest with you guys, man, I'm going to be straight up with you. To be honest with you, it probably wouldn't have mattered to anybody because, like I said, a lot of my homeboys were embracing him. So nobody would have knew about it. Nobody would have made an issue about it. And the homies in the county jail, if they would have found out about it, it would have been like, so what? Boxer and Glenn went to gym together. That's how a lot of homeboys used to treat this dude. He was like, I'm telling you, he was like a homeboy, but he ran with the Emmy in the joint. It was a crazy situation, man. But because of my beliefs, it wouldn't have been okay with me. And like I said, I would have rushed him anyway. So it wouldn't have mattered, man. So anyway, the next day, gym time. They come up and they run gym. So they come down the tier and they ask who wants to go to gym. And my cell was like the second cell that they asked. You want to go to gym? Yeah. Hell yeah. So the gym's cool too, man. In 850 Bryant on the 7th floor, it's a huge ass gym that's on top of the jail. and you have like they got cable weights. They got a big ass full court. It's a full basketball court, but they got cable weights posted all the way around the basketball court. There's probably like 8 or 9 different weight setups. So I mean, there you get your money up there, man. There's at least 10 of them, and then they got a pull up bar, dip bar, and all that shit, man. It's pretty cool. But anyway, so they come to let us out for gym. After they run the list, they come out and they start at the other end. I'm gonna be like the last one. They're already keying people out, and they're lining up on the wall in front of my. The first couple line up, Africano, some other cats. Boom, Glenn comes out. He stops almost directly in front of my cell. So when the CO comes to my cell, opens up my gate, I walk out, and Glenn's almost directly in front of my cell too. So we're almost like damn near standing in front of each other. I just post up in front of my cell. I post up, and I'm kind of just standing there waiting for the CO to open up the door so that we can walk out on the tier. And we gotta walk to the gym. It's like you gotta walk out, walk down the hall, bust a right, walk through some housing tanks, and then there's that big alpha mega room. It's like a big holding tank. The holding tank I told you guys that they put us all in when they were doing an investigation on that other guy, the guy's head that I split open. Anyway, so you got to walk through there, and then there's another door that leads to the gym, and then you're in the gym. So we walk into the gym, and when we get into that big holding tank, I kind of, I'm watching Glenn the whole time. I'm not stupid. I'm not gonna let this fool get the drop on me. He might try to steal on me in front of the seal. I don't know what he's gonna do, but I'm watching him out of my peripheral. So I let him get in front of me so that he can go into the gym first when we get to the door, and I kind of fall back. That was my plan, because I was gonna post up in that little blind spot where all the toilets were at anyway, and just I knew we were gonna do our thing right there. So we're walking, and we get to the gym. CO opens up the door, and we start going in. We start walking in. Now, one of the COs that was working, not the one that picked us up, there was one that was already in the gym that was in the booth. They got a booth. They climb up the ladder, and then there's a big booth that they sit in, and they can watch everybody as you're playing basketball or handball or lifting weights, whatever you're doing. So anyway, I post up where the toilets are at, and there's no other homies on that tier. I was there by myself, man. So Glenn walks out, and he's in the gym. Anyway, I'm watching him walk all the way around. I watch him. He's like lapping the basketball court. When he gets to the corner, I see him drop his top shirt. He threw it in the corner. He walked around the corner, and then when he got to the area where the bathroom stalls at, where I was already backed up all the way into the back in the corner. That's the blind spot. They can't see you right there. We started going at it right there. Up my shoe. So we're going at it, man. I'm gonna keep it real. This was the first time, not when we were throwing punches, but when he tried to rush me at one point. And this was the first time I felt how strong this fucking dude was, man. He's a big dude. He's like 2 of me, man. Usually in an area like that, in a confined area, like in a cell, it's to my advantage to get somebody in the corner and use my weight to my advantage to pin them and then just keep fucking punching them. Well, the tables were turned. It wasn't to my advantage to do that with this dude. It was to my advantage to get up out of that little confined area, and that's what I did. After I got up out of the corner, we back up and we kept on slinging them, man. And next thing you know, we're out in the middle of the basketball court. The Africanos are playing basketball. They stop, and everybody's watching now. Now there's two COs. I think I already mentioned this, but one of them is from my neighborhood. He's from Hampshire. He used to work at juvenile hall when I was a kid. He's a cool ass cat, man. He used to bring me cigarettes. So he's a CO that's from my neighborhood, man. So, and he lightweight understands our politics. And I know he knew Glenn, and he knew me, but you know, it was almost like he let us go at it a little bit. So we're in the middle of the basketball court and we're still slinging. By this time, I'm starting to get tired. I know his big ass was tired too, man. And you know, there came a time when we were squared up, and he was like, "What's up?" And I'm like, "What's up, man?" And we start going at it again. And they had already hit the alarm. Doors fly open. Here they come. I knew they were coming in with fucking with pepper spray, and that's what they did. They came right in. A lot of these COs, I didn't know them. Sometimes these COs, like on the sixth floor, or even some of the ones that I knew from, because a lot of them used to work at juvenile, they won't spray you, man. But a lot of these dudes were new. I didn't know who they were. As soon as they came running in, man, they started spraying both of us, man, and it was over. That was it. Oh boy, didn't he didn't get me. I didn't get him. I didn't take a loss. I didn't take a win. It was just one of those things. What would have happened if they would have let us keep going? I don't know. Who knows, man? It's to be decided. You know, we did our thing. I had a lot of respect for that dude after that. I still had respect for him even when I was pushing the line against him. But you know, that kind of, it was a newfound respect. We did our thing, man. We handled our business like two men. You know, there was no weapons involved, but I'll be honest, if I had an opportunity to make a weapon or to get one before that, I would have used it, man. And that's just the way it goes, and that's the way I've been taught. That's the way I've been schooled and educated. You know, I give somebody a heads up fade, and I'll go heads up with somebody. But you know, in a situation like that, I would have rather have stuck the dude. But it didn't happen, man. Anyway, that's a short one. I might try to do the 3-peat tonight. I don't know, man. I'm gonna give you guys another one, so at least you'll have a double up. But for you two cats again, man, Big Dog and Conscious Mountain Gangster, man, come on, man. You guys pay attention when you watch my videos, man. Should feel real foolish, man. Anyway, this your boy B, episode 13. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm gonna keep it pushing, and I'm out.